But, you know, when you look at this and the statement from the New American, leftists always want to ration goods and services because they think they're scarce. There's a great article from the Federalist that goes back to November of last year. November of last year, how a Russian's grocery store trip in 1989 exposed the lie of socialism. Now, the Soviet Union fell November the 9th, 1989, and so they were doing this on the anniversary. They're doing it on the 30th anniversary this last fall in November. And they were doing stories on the fall of the Soviet Union. And they said the Soviet Union probably really fell a few months before the wall was actually taken down. And here's why. 2 months earlier, September 16th, 1989, Boris Yeltsin was a newly elected member of the Soviet parliament visiting the U.S. Following a scheduled visit to the Johnson Space Center, Yeltsin and a small entourage made an unscheduled stop at a Randall's grocery store in Clear Lake, a suburb of Houston. He was amazed by the aisles of food and stocked shelves, a sharp contrast to the bread lines and the empty columns that he was accustomed to in Russia. They reported that he roamed the aisles of Randall's, nodding his head in amazement. He said, "How much does this cost? Do you need a special education to manage a supermarket? Are all American stores like this? Do you need a special education to make sure that you get the store's shelves filled?" No, actually, they should have handed him a copy of Leonard Read's iPencil. We don't have central planning. That's why the shelves are full, Boris. And yet, what happened? Right? He went on to say, later on, he said it made him feel sick to look at the differences between their centrally planned system and ours that is not centrally planned at the time. He said, "When I saw those shelves crammed with hundreds of thousands of cans, cartons, and goods of every possible sort, for the first time I felt, quite frankly, sick with despair for the Soviet people." He later wrote in his autobiography. He said that such a potentially rich country as ours has been brought to a state of such poverty that it's terrible to think of. And folks, I feel like Boris Yeltsin today. To think that our country, under the leadership or the lack of leadership of President Trump, under the lies of Fauci, has been pushed into a situation where we've got shortages on shelves. We have shortages on a lot of things. That we have a greater depression coming here because of government mandates, because of central planning. And this is the GOP as well as the Democrats. Don't make this into a partisan thing. Wake up and understand what's going on. Get rid of your misplaced partisan and politician loyalty. Take a clear look at what is happening around you and understand we are being forced into a Soviet system. And there's no reason for it. The GOP is nothing but the boiling frog party. There's only a difference in degrees. They cook you a little slower at a little lower temperature than the Democrats do so that you don't wake up. Oh, we got Trump in the White House, and he loves Fauci. They're on the same team, he said. All right, we're going to talk about what's going on Twitter, and we're going to talk about what's going on with the dollar, what's about to go on with both of them, as well as with cybersecurity in just a second. Got a couple of more things I want to say, though, as I was talking about how perhaps, I love this, the way the Federalist put it, maybe it was a grocery store visit by Boris Yeltsin that brought the wall down. Because when he went to the grocery store outside of Houston, he just couldn't believe it. How much does this cost? Do you need a special education to do something like this? No, no, no. You need an understanding of free markets. He said even the Politburo doesn't have this kind of choice, not even Mr. Gorbachev. And he said it was a turning point in his life to see that, to realize that a country that should be rich, like Russia, was poor because politics had taken over everything. And now we have seen that happen in this country, haven't we? And immediately, you get shortages. Well, we're just going to shut down restaurants. And what does that do? That causes food shortages everywhere. Oh, gee, I wouldn't have thought that would happen. And it doesn't matter if you've got a special degree. Nobody is smart enough to centrally plan the economy. They don't even have enough information. And so when we look at the state of America today, Zero Hedge points out in less than 14 days, the government will sever its $600 per week unemployment lifeline. That's where we are. They've taken a once proud nation, and they've taken those among us who worked the hardest, who had the most hope, who created small businesses, and they've bankrupted them. They've turned everybody else into beggars. Here's a story from Zero Hedge. Even scarier than the pandemic for some in this country is the idea that they may have to actually get off of the couch, look for employment once again, and earn money the old-fashioned way, doing something productive. At the same time, these benefits end. The Fed will continue, however, to pump billions, if not trillions of dollars into capital markets, facilitating an even further spread between the haves and the have-nots. One 63-year-old former maintenance supervisor, interviewed by Bloomberg, called the extra $600 a week, a lifeline to our pre-pandemic existence. He says, it's going to put me in an extremely uncomfortable and possibly threatening situation with my housing to lose this. A 33-year-old in New Jersey is earning about twice what she was making at her job from unemployment assistance. So she's doubled her income, as many of them said. And she says she's been using it to pay down some debts, but she says, I've been looking for a job ever since I was laid off back in March, and I haven't been able to find anything. If I don't have that $600, I'm going to be screwed. A former bar manager laid off in March says that even with the added benefits, it still falls short of what she was making earlier this year. She says, I don't know what will happen. I don't know that I'll be able to make my bills or buy enough food, she concluded. And so Zero Hedge says, well, maybe somebody ought to tell her to become a corporate bond fund manager, and the Fed will take care of the rest. She can go from $600 a week in free money to trillions of dollars in free money overnight. Or maybe you could learn to code, right? Which is basically what Ivanka was telling everybody. Find something new. Along with Tim Cook. Yeah, learn to code or whatever. Find something new. Yeah, like the lady said, I've been trying to get a job. And she said, even though I'm doing okay at this point in time, I don't, I'm even making more than I did, but I can't find a job. So the second stimulus check, writes CNET, see this all these articles today about stimulus. When's this next stimulus check going to come? This is what Americans have been reduced to because of fiat orders from a White House. Guidelines and recommendations is all it is. You know, Fauci makes the guidelines and recommendations. Trump repeats the Fauci guidelines and recommendations. The governors, Democrat and Republican, implement those guidelines and recommendations. Shutting down businesses, killing jobs. The official report is 33 million people who have lost their jobs. That's not true. It's far more than that. Second stimulus check, writes CNET. When would it arrive? These are the crucial dates to know. And I want you to get the gist of this article. What have Americans been turned into as beggars? Well, they're watching like a hawk when the Senate's going to come back and then when they're going to go on recess again. And will they be able to get this bill through in time so I can get my check? I remember back in the early 90s when I was doing the newsletter for the Libertarian Party in North Carolina. And there was one article that I came across, and it was about Switzerland. And they said, the typical person in Switzerland doesn't even know the name of who the president of Switzerland is because the president of Switzerland doesn't have any effect on their lives. We know the name of the president, don't we? We know everything that he's doing. All we do all day is watch what the president's doing. And now all we do is watch what the Senate's going to do because the Senate has the economic power to keep bread on our table. We don't. That power has been taken away from us thanks to the president and Fauci. So this week, says CNET, the Senate is currently on a planned recess that began on Friday, July 3rd and runs until this Friday, July 17th. The Senate is scheduled to return to work on Monday, July 20th. This is important to know because this is where your money is coming from. July 20th through August the 7th. McConnell said his office has been working on a proposal for several weeks. So that gives the Senate 15 working days, not including weekends, until August the 7th, because they're not going to work on weekends to keep food on your table. The last day of its session is August 7th. So what if the Senate misses the August 7th deadline? Well, they're going to go on vacation again from August the 10th to September the 7th. They're going to take another month vacation. They've just taken a 2-week vacation. They're going to come back for 15 days, and they'll take a month vacation. It's recess. And that will last through Labor Day, Monday, September 7th. So you better hope that they get your check together. And then Reuters says Americans on COVID-19 jobless benefits spent more than they did when they were working. See, we haven't learned our lesson yet, have we, collectively? Researchers analyzed transactions for 61,000 households that received unemployment benefits between March and May. Spending dropped for all the households as the virus spread and led to business shutdowns. But then it rose when the households began receiving jobless benefits. That contrasts with a typical recession, when households receiving unemployment benefits usually cut spending by 7%, because regular jobless benefits amount to only a fraction of a person's prior earnings. That wasn't the case this time. And let me tell you that when reality catches up to us, it's going to be even more painful because of what the Federal Reserve and the federal government is doing, protecting us from that reality. And of course, it's not just the people who are out of a job, it's the teachers who are out of the classroom but still collecting a paycheck. And here in Texas, the classrooms can stay closed this fall, and they will not lose any state funding. There you go, still pay them. And it'll go on our tab, right? Our tax tab. As Zero-Hedge reports from the Foundation for Economic Freedom, or Education, I should say. Back to school, no thanks, says millions of newly homeschooled parents. With dehumanizing COVID-19 restrictions awaiting students at schools, many parents are opting to keep on homeschooling. And what are some of those things? Well, the recommendations from the CDC are this: strict social distancing, all-day mask wearing for students and teachers, daily health checks, no gym, no cafeteria, and restricted playground access. So for one Florida mother that they talked to, these social distancing expectations and pandemic response measures prompted her to commit to homeschooling for her kids aged 13, 8, and 5. She said mandated masks, as well as rigid, arbitrary rules and requirements regarding the use and location of their bodies, will serve to dehumanize, disconnect, and intimidate students. She forgot deliberately dumbing them down as well. Those have always been on the menu, not just in the cafeteria, but throughout the school experience. And it gets worse all the time. And so now, at this point, at least a third of the parents are saying, this is enough. We're not going to do this anymore. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Yeah, Walmart is now going to start requiring customers to wear masks. This will be starting July 20th. They said about 65% of its stores, about 5,000 stores, including Sam's Club locations, 65% of them are located in areas where there is no government mandate on face covering. So think about that. And only 35% of their stores, they have government regulations. So Walmart is going to extend this. This isn't a reaction to the government. The big corporations are the government. The big corporations are pushing this. So we will require all shoppers to wear a face covering starting Monday, July 20th. As the CDC says, everyone should wear a cloth face covering. A cloth face covering. Because, you know, cloth is so effective at screening out microscopic bacteria that can't even be screened out with an N95 mask. N95, it takes out 95% of the particles bigger than coronavirus particles. And then they add, the CDC says, face coverings are meant to protect other people, just like vaccines. Vaccines are meant to protect other people, not you. You're going to get hurt by vaccines, most likely. But, you know, if you don't get the disease, we say, then other people are going to be protected. And, of course, you know, because this whole misunderstanding of herd immunity, you can't get herd immunity if you don't have immunity. If your vaccine doesn't give you immunity, then the herd cannot have immunity. Oh, but if we all get vaccines, then we've all got herd immunity. No. Again, you have to have immunity as individuals before the herd can have immunity. And if the individuals are not getting immunity from the vaccines, the herd ain't going to get it either. You just heard wrong. It's a herd mentality. You know, it really reminds me of the Prisoner series by Patrick McGowan. And in The Village, one of the things that they would say, if you didn't follow the rules and regulations, that's very unmutual of you, prisoner. Very unmutual. And if you don't wear your mask, that is very unmutual. And so Walmart is going to be right there to make sure that those 65% of the stores that they have where there's no government regulation, Walmart will step in, and it's going to be enforced by quote-unquote health ambassadors wearing black shirts. I guess they figured if they had them wearing brown shirts that would be a little bit too much. Yeah, there you go. You can't come in. I'm going to come in anyway. Yeah, don't get violent with these people. Just go away. You don't need to go to Walmart. You don't need to go Walmart. That's why I said we've got to start having a separate economy where we don't trade with these people. Don't give them your money. CNN is all about this. They said Trump refuses to lead, so America tries to save itself. And then they talk about Walmart doing see, that's America saving itself to make sure that you got to wear a cloth face mask. It's not going to protect you, but it'll protect other people. And we're going to do this in the 65% of the stores where we don't have any government regulations. We're going to lead on that. And so America is trying to save itself is the way that CNN puts this out there.
Where the hell did this water come from? Huh? Where did it come from?
Infowarsstore.com. We can't survive without pure, clean drinking water. So make sure that it's always available to you with the Alexa Pure water filtration system. This gravity-fed system filters through all the toxins and gets straight to clean, healthy, great-tasting water. Yummy in my tummy. Bring the purest, most refreshing water to your home by ordering the Alexa Pure water filtration system today from Infowarsstore.com. Infowarsstore.com. Other systems just don't compare.